Hey sixth graders, this video is on multiplying decimals, so make sure you label the top of your page with multiplying decimals. Our learning target is being able to multiply multi-digit numbers and decimals. Just a quick review of multiplying multi-digit numbers. Multi-digit meaning more than one digit, so numbers that have more than one number. So 534 times 23, we're going to set it up. 534 times 23. If you remember or know how to do this, you could go ahead and do this in your notebook and then check your answer when you're done. But we start in the ones place on our second number. So we would do 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1 up there, and then 3 times 3 plus 1. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So put the 0 down and then carry the 1 up here, and then 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1, so we get 16. When I do my 2, I have to first put a 0 in for a holder for the ones place, because 2 is in the tens place. So then I do 2 times 4, which is 8, and then 2 times 3, which is 6, and then 2 times 5, which is 10, and then we add it together, and we would get 12,282. When we're multiplying with decimals, we do not line up the decimals. So you don't need to write all these steps, but you should write decimal points do not need to be lined up. Then we multiply like normal. We ignore the decimal points for now, and then when we're done, we count how many total place values each decimal is from the right. So then we will, I will show you that once we get to the answer. So write this down in your notebook, 2 and 34 hundredths times 1 and 23 hundredths. So I'm going to rewrite it so it's vertical. I do not line up the decimal points, although these do happen to line up. Now we ignore the decimals and we just multiply like normal. So 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Add a 0 before I start my 2 to hold this place right here. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I add 2 zeros before I start with the 1 for this place and this place. So 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2. If we're ignoring the decimals, then technically the 3 is the ones, the 2 is in the tens place, and the 1 right here is in the hundreds. So that's why when we multiply the 2, it's like it's in the tens place, so that's why we have to have a placeholder for our ones place, and then the 1 is in the hundreds, so then we have to have zeros to place for in the ones and tens. Then we add together, so we add all this, so 2 plus 0 is 2, then we have 8, 6 and 4 is 10, plus 7 is 17, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 1 is 8, 2. So now for the decimals, we count, we start on the right for each number, so right here, and we count how many spots we go in to get to the decimal. So 1, 2, and then over here, 1, 2, we add them together, that's 4 total, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and 8,782 10,000ths. We have 2 and 34 hundredths times a little more than 1, so it makes sense that a little more than 1 would make it a little more, or a little greater than 2 and 34 hundredths, so that is a reasonable answer. We have 45 and 35 hundredths times 5 and 6 tenths, so 45 and 35 hundredths times 5 and 6 tenths. Notice I'm not lining up the decimal, and now I'm just going to forget the decimal points and multiply. So 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21, 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32, and then 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27. Put a 0 down before I start with the 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry up that 2. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 1 is 26. And then 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22. Add them together. 0, 6, 9, 13, 5, and 2. And then I start on the left or the right side and I go 1, 2. And then over here I go in 1. I add it together. 3 total places, so I go down here, 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 253 and 96 hundredths. I can drop any zeros after the decimal that have no numbers after it. This is something I want you to write down in your notebook. So if you are multiplying a number that is greater than 1, your answer is going to be bigger. If you're multiplying by a number less than 1, your answer or your product is going to be smaller. So write that down and maybe circle it like that in your notebook. Okay, so let's look at these. So if you got the hang of it, then I want you to try both of these in your notebook. And then, so pause me, do them, and then come back and check. So if we have 6 and 28 hundredths times 45 and 1/10, I'm multiplying 6 times a number way greater than 1, so my answer is going to be way bigger. So 6 and 28 hundredths times 45 and 1/10. We don't line up the decimal. Forget the decimals for now and multiply. 1 times 8, 1 times 2, 1 times 6. Put down a 0, and then 5 times 8, because now I'm doing the 5, so 5 times 8 is 40, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14, and then 31. And then 2 zeros before I do the 4, so 4 times 8 is 32. I like to cross it off and put my new number up there just to remember what I have. Slide that over a little bit. Okay, so then 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. That's still a 1. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Oops. Now I'm going to add them together. 8, 2, 6 and 4 is 10, plus 2 is 12, 3, 8, 2, and then I carry, and I start on the right side, and I have to go in 2, and then in 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3, 1, 2, 3. 283 and 228 thousandths. That makes sense because I'm taking a little more than 6 times a little more than 45, so my answer should be pretty big, just like that. And then I have 9 and 3/10, and I am multiplying times 34 hundredths. So a number that is less than 1. It's actually less than half. So I'm taking less than half of 9 and 3/10. And I know that half of 9 is 4 1/2, so my answer is even going to be less than that. Because if I'm taking 34 hundredths, I'm taking a part of it. So that's why my answer is going to be less. So then we have this. Remember, we line up the digits. We don't line up the decimals, so that's why I put my 0 way over there so that everything could be lined up. Now I'm going to multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 is 37. Put down a 0 for the ones place, technically, since we don't have any decimals right now. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 9 is 27. Add those together. 7 plus 9 is 16, and we have 11, 3. So I go in 1, in 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 and 162 thousandths, which makes sense because 34 hundredths of 9.3 should be less than half. Okay, do these two last problems on your own. Pause the video and then come back and check your answers. For the first one, you should have gotten 51 and 456 thousandths. For this one, you should have gotten 900ths. If you have a question about how you got it, show me in class and we will go through the steps and find out where you possibly made a mistake. And then that's it for this video, so feel free to rewatch any parts if you want to, and then make sure that you have these notes in class tomorrow. Have a great night.